Good day. Welcome to the Africans in America podcast. And with me, as always, is Weriche.
Hi, everyone.
Weriche, you had a good time. You went to Coachella.
I did. I took my daughter. Yeah.
How was it?
It's good. It's good. It's a long drive, but it's good.
Yeah, we should not forget that Coachella was used to have a lot of African immigrant or African artists, but I don't know if they had this time around. I know Burna Boy made his name from Coachella, and Mr. Easy too used to be one of those people who used to attend Coachella, but I don't know which African artists performed this time in
I think
Coachella.
Shaun Kuti was there.
Oh, really?
Apparently, he released a new song. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Welcome again to Africans in American podcast. We've been off for a little while now. There are some videos that have been trending, and these videos have been talking about people who, unlike those who come to America, they want to leave America after a while. They want to leave America. So the topic we want to discuss today is reverse immigration. Immigrants going back to their country, maybe for whatever reasons. They have a whole myriad of reasons that they want to go back to their countries for, and we want to
Mm.
talk about it. But before we start our discussion, we see our numbers are growing. Subscribe, like, share our videos.
hmm
We are slowly ramping up. We will get deeper into discussing issues regarding African immigrants much more. But we are trying to make our podcasts known to more known and more accepted by more people there. Um, well, Richard, last time we talked about how America is very tough and how that is a discussion that keeps coming up. And recently, for one, I know I met somebody in Washington, D.C. once when I went, and I met a Sierra Leonean who told me he was getting ready to go back to Africa. And there's a TikTok that was trending seriously. I think it was even Linda Ikeji who put it on her blog about one young lady who was ready to go back to Nigeria. She was ready to go back, and so and this topic of going back is not strange. While a lot of people want to come to America, some people actually have come, experienced America, seen it, done it, and they're ready to go back. On regarding this topic, what is your opinion about it?
I mean, yeah, historically, people have done that. They've gone back. I know a lot of singers who ended up being big time singers in Nigeria who came from, the West. Onyekonwenu migrated back from the UK, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Boy migrated from
Mm-hmm.
America.
Oh, that's
So
true.
yeah, and a couple of others. So I know that historically it's been something people do, the same way people move over here is the same way, they go back. What are my thoughts about moving back? I mean, it makes practical sense if a person decides that maybe they've maximized what they can, explore or gain or contribute in the country where they are, and they would like to go back to their roots and all of that. And what I've seen happen in the past too, and it's a couple of my mom's friends, is that they move back with the kids. The kids do high school, probably even college, and then they move back to America. So it's not a one way, like, oh, they move back and it's conclusive. It's almost like, what do I hear? Cross migration. But yeah, it's something that where they go back and then they come back. So it all depends. Sometimes people just change their base just for the sake of change. And especially if you've lived in the United States or whatever part of the West or whatever place outside of your country for a very long time, it practically becomes home. That becomes, when we talk about people straddling two locations, that's what that is yes, you still have a longing for home, and then you go home, but you still have a longing for here. And so that happens. So yeah, I
I
think
I
it's
I
I think
rem
it's balanced. Hmm
Yeah, I remember one particular incident once. I came by this Nigerian and I'm like, "Hello, hi, how are you?" So how
Mm.
long have you been in? It was in New Jersey. It was in Newark, New Jersey, very rough city. And I got talking with him, and I asked him, "So how long have you been here?" He said, "My brother, about 2 years." I said, "So how are you finding it here?" Then he comes and said, "Ah, bros, it's like me. I will go back. Oh, it's like me. I leave Nigeria as bank manager and then come here and we are hustling, you know." But here's the thing: there's a lot of even before coming to America, we did know a lot of people who had come, done this immigration thing, and come back to Nigeria, and they start all over again. Not just Nigeria, Kenya, they start all over again, and they use the experiences and networks and the relationships they formed in the countries they were in to sort of like elevate themselves. Because let's not forget, when you leave your country, you leave behind social ties you probably have been building right from childhood.
Yeah.
And if you take yourself out of that space, possibly for 10 years and for 8 years or for 15 years, depending on how long your immigration journey was, for those who have seen go back, they get warmly embraced. By the time they get there, their friends and their relations and people they know have moved up the career ladder. They are now bank managers. They are now, and then they get welcomed. Maybe the earlier time will be rough for them because they are starting all over again. They let go of a lot of things here and they're starting all over. But I've seen this transition. They just get in, they flow in, and it's not as if it's seamless, but there's growth. You remember, we should know that back home in Africa, there are more opportunities for growth than there are here. Growth is not necessarily a career growth as a nurse or as a professor or as something.
Not sure that
Um,
I don't agree with that actually. I don't agree that there's more because how do you quantify? How do you quantify
well,
it?
the one thing you can do is that you can be an entrepreneur very easily. You could buy land, you can start with doing properties.
You can do
They
that
tend
here
to take
too.
their expertise from here back home
Mm.
and try and make a
Yeah.
success of it there.
Yeah, 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 or they join companies and all that. I know a few people who've done that and who've been successful, but I don't think it'd be wrong for me to
Mhm.
just allow the statement that they do better because what are we working off of? Where's the data that has proven that they do better when they go back? We have to be careful when we just throw these things out. We can imagine that yes, it'll be easier for Africa or Nigeria to absorb them back because now they have foreign education, foreign experience, foreign all of that. But to say that they do better or there's more, I can't say that. I can't say because there's no proof. If we have research that has covered that, then we can say that.
that now you've mentioned it. That is actually a topic for study. Those people who go back and engage in reverse migration. Let's not forget, a lot of our political class, they were in America, they were in Europe, a lot. Even the president of Nigeria was in either as exiles, either as political exiles, either as students. They experienced the diaspora at one time or the other. We have all this class of politicians, we have class of bankers, we have class of back home in Africa who have experienced the diaspora, and then they've experienced immigration, and some of them went back willingly and started to make a careers. There are even some situations where they were still here in America and they get co-opted into politics. Like we have the famous case of Jim Wobodo in Enugu State in Nigeria, co-opting him by the Nuju to come and become governor of the state then. And so these things do happen. These things do happen,
Mm-mm.
but are they happening now, especially in the light of the fact that we know that breaking through in America and with all the signs that is going on, particularly in this administration, that is sounding out all the signals that it is not friendly towards immigrants. You will think that it may not be uncommon for some people to be thinking about it now.
Yes, yes, yes. I've seen a few videos of people saying that they're going back, they're deporting themselves, right? There's a lot going on. They're deporting themselves, right? So they want to do it before people, deport them type of thing.
Before ICE knocks on their door.
Yes, that's one group of people. Another group being just people that already have American citizenship, but they're just tired of having to live on edge and, not feel settled until they're going back. So yeah, there are many reasons, but it's good you brought up the immigration thing. So, I recently, like I think it was in January when they said Donald Trump passed the executive order. I think it's the Supreme Court's about to hear the case. I don't know if they heard it this week or they're going to hear it. But
Mm.
birthright citizenship is being stripped away from women who have children, undocumented immigrants who have children in America. And that's the most unconstitutional thing I can ever imagine. It's one of the many unconstitutional things this particular administration has focused on, and it's not comforting to hear, especially when you imagine the fact that America has been a lifeline for a lot of different people running away from all manners of persecution, and even just people who merely want to bring their kids up in a stable environment. It's been, so when we talk about motivations for moving back, one of the many motivations, alongside maybe things like police brutality and all of that, would be the way America is suddenly presenting to immigrants. And so people are not, they don't feel settled anymore. They need assurance. And some of them just take up the option of, okay, going back home doesn't mean they won't come back in the future. They could possibly come back. But for now, they're taking the route of, exploring the other country where they belong. So it's
Yeah,
interesting. Hmm.
we should not forget that most times many people have their biggest cultural ties and their social ties more back in Africa. So even when they are here, when they are in here, if their friends come for conferences, they go to visit them. If their friends come for holiday, they go and interact with them. And there's always this link back home, like, oh, this person is doing well, that person is doing well. The other day, my phone just started buzzing, and like my friends were calling me all from Nigeria. Say, what are you doing here? Your friend just was appointed secretary of his of government in his state. I mean, people know how close I am. I'm like, and these are the kind of ties that create opportunities, for Kenyans, for Ugandans, for everybody, South Africans. And you will think that when your friend gets into such commanding positions, especially, either as bankers, either as top government officials, you also will go and say if you have an opportunity to be a bridge between them and whatever interest they may have in America or something, you go and try and sell yourself there as an entrepreneur or
Yeah,
as something.
it all depends on people's motivations because I mean, when I think of everybody has a unique journey to America, particularly every immigrant. I mean, if it's for people just merely seeking greener pastures, that would be the case because what it is if you come to America and it's not working out, and maybe just like you described now, you have a friend who has a good opportunity, and so you want to come back to Nigeria because you feel that, oh, all of a sudden something else could open up for you. That's a possibility. But some people are not motivated merely by the opportunities or the income or whatever. Some people really do, like when you talk about asylum people, they're real people who have a real fear of persecution. And so whatever the driving force that brought them here is still present and here. And it's not, you wouldn't hear those people say, oh, they want to just go back because of the opportunity it presents at home. The reality is the opportunity cannot compare to life, right? Because if we talk about life, if we talk about a fear on you, of persecution against you, you're scared either way, and money is not going to bring back your life, right? So you're not just going to suddenly see Nigeria as suddenly appealing just because of the opportunities. And so that's where we speak about motivations. What is a person's motivation for moving either back to Nigeria or living in America? If it's just a mere or they want greener pastures, then anywhere is possible for them to reside, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to just be Nigeria. What of Australia? What of whatever country is presenting, greener pastures for them? So you want to always check when you talk about what, the fact that people are moving, what are their motivations? What's their driving force? What led them here in the first place? What's triggering them to go back? And I know for the most part, a lot of people will talk about economic stability, right? Maybe a majority, but we can't throw out numbers being that we don't have data. There's been no research done on those topics. So yeah. But yeah, the motivation
Well,
is a very key factor too. Yeah.
with the waiter I met in Washington in the hotel I stayed in Washington,
Mm,
and a friend I have also in Baltimore. The common strain is that they've done their bit in America. My friend in Baltimore particularly is very successful. He made a success of his stay here. And most African immigrants will tell you, even if success passes them by, they will always tell you that it is for these children. At least the children get to get American education and find a pathway to become an American citizens and all that. So they always say it is for the children. But
mm.
my friend in Baltimore always says this: I am going back. I am going back because you see, the elderly experience in America is totally different. It is one where you invest money, you have money, you retire with money, and you go into an elderly home, you know, and you are cared for and everything. But that elderly experience is different for us in Africa. And these two people I'm talking about particularly, they were looking to retiring back to Africa, not retiring in America. They have built their home there, and they know they have their social ties there. They know they have closer social links there, and they will. Oh, I guess they think that they may be better taken care of there with less financial burden on them than it will be here. We know the whole the whole care business and the care industry in America is very expensive. Even if you have social security, it is. And the way they do their own things here is totally different. Some people have saved up, accumulated shares and 401ks, and they can retire at 50. It's not like that with us Africans. We're working and working and trying to pay bills, and you find out that not 60 creeps up on you, 70 creeps up on you. And so for those two people going back home and living the later part of their years in closer to their friends who may still be alive, and closer to family and closer to social ties, it really is a concern for them. What do you think about that?
No, I agree with you. A lot of older people move back simply because they want to be closer to their roots. They want is, as you get closer, as you get older, you start to think about, just your life and all of that. And living abroad is not one of the things that maybe they're exhausted that. Most of them come back here just merely to come, get their medical done, and then they go back
Mm-hmm.
and all that. So yeah, that's something I see too, is that the older generation move back. And one of the other reasons is because America is quite lonely for them. It's quite lonely. So if they've grown up in community, right? And when you think of our system, our lifestyle in America, in Nigeria, you have people who help you around the house. You have people you pay to, either drive you where you're going, or you have people who watch your house. You have housekeepers and, people to help you with like the basic, chores. At that age, they need people to help them with the basic chores simply because, they're older, right? America doesn't allow you that, um, not necessarily doesn't allow you the opportunity. It does because if you can afford it, you can get that, but it becomes more difficult. It becomes more tricky for them. And so it's better to be in a place where you have community. And so that would be one of the reasons again that they would go back. But yes, the older generation, I see them move back more often than the younger generation. Yes.
Yes, but that doesn't take away the fact that sometimes the young ones also move back, because there are some people who I know who come into this country from socially affiliated careers like law, and you almost will not see a politician saying that he's leaving, because these are careers that you grow with according to your social ties. And when they come to America, there's a big disconnect between them. There's no social tie in any form. Even if they had friends, so alumni of their university and their colleges, you come and find out that people are busy, because if you get sucked into the American dream, and you buy a house and you bought it on mortgage, and then you buy a car and you bought it with a car note, you start understanding why people are cranky and people walk very fast and people do stuff here like that. You just get sucked into it. And so it won't be long that those your friends will not be having time for you. They don't have time for you. Like, we like to hang out, drink beer. No, they don't. They have to do stuff. And
Yeah,
suddenly,
definitely.
yeah, it
It's a
happens.
definitely different. It's a different lifestyle here, and yeah, that there's not much time for lounging the way there is in Nigeria. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
mhm.
I came by a woman too, an elderly one too, okay, who said she came here to do a mugo. And then when we just got talking, first thing I just said, "How you finding it?" So she just laughed. She said, "My brother, this place is lonely, oh." So,
It's usually
and
it's
she
usually
will
the
give
review
anything
you
to
will
be out
get.
of the place, you
Yes,
know.
yes, that's the review you will get from a lot of them, is that it's lonely. They don't have their friends here. A lot of their friends are back home, and
Mm.
at that age, you want to be surrounded, you know, by your friends, your family, and it's yeah, America is tough like that for
Yeah,
them.
but so let's move into this topic now. What are the things that you think should those ones who are here, how should they engage in a manner that can make them become more embedded in this community, so they don't miss that back home so much? Because one thing we come here for is that it's really difficult to make it here. So what suggestions do you give?
That's also arguable. It's not difficult to make it here. It all depends on
Oh.
the person's career choice. Not
It's
difficult.
easy. It's
We can't
easy.
let that hang. We can't let that hang in the air like that. No, it's not difficult to, but everybody has a different path, and everybody has those circumstances that can either strengthen yours, or weaken it. But it's not okay to say it's difficult to make it here, because there are people making it here, right?
Yeah, they
So it's
are.
not
That
to make it,
I
but to
agree
answer
with
your
you.
question, yeah, to answer a question about what they can do, there's so many good things. There's so many conventions, there's so many groups, right? Communities, social groups that they can belong to. So you have the Igbo communities, you have the individual towns and villages and their conventions and their communities. You have, even like you mentioned the other day, People's Club. So these organizations are serving the purpose over time of allowing these people interact. I know women who actually get ready from maybe the Northeast, they travel to Texas. Is a good place where you are. Texas is where they host some of these conventions, usually around the summertime, right? But they host them around.
Houston particularly. Yeah.
Correct, correct, because there's a large concentration of our people there. And so I know some women, I know them, elderly, my friends, my moms, who look forward to these things. Oh my God, they go to get the outfits, they plan, they book their rooms and, do all of that and travel and come back with pictures and videos of them, just interacting. It's very important, you want to allow them those opportunities. And it's actually something you don't even have to force. It's just everywhere you look. It's in Maryland. It's also in Boston, New York. These areas just host a lot, even California. California, you have groups of people that just make it, make it an annual event and have these people come together. So that's one of the ways they can stay connected to their roots. Another one is if they can afford it, if they have the immigration strength and all of that, they can travel. They take a couple of trips here and there every couple of months back home. And then when they come back, they replenish their little African food stash. That also gives them a bit of joy as well. And, it's just to leave that feeling of familiarity. I mean, 3 months is okay. They can go back travel. But to say they stay extensively for like 2 years, 4 years, that's where it creeps in. The feeling of like, the feeling of feeling abandoned and lost and lonely. If you let them stay that long in this location. But if they take a couple short trips here and there, oh, they love it. It helps out. So I think those are the two things I think they should do to mitigate their loneliness.
Yeah,
Yes.
if for those people, well, I have a saying, something I always tell myself, that anybody who goes anywhere and finds himself any place has a duty to find a way to survive in that place. It just is very
Indeed.
imperative. Yeah, but we must acknowledge that it is particularly really hard. When I
It is.
see, you remember we discussed entrepreneurship among other ethnicities in America here, and every single place I stop to buy gas, everyone that I stop to buy gas, and I go into the concession stores and the convenience stores it's almost owned by an Indian, you know,
Mm.
and almost all the supermarkets and small markets I used to shop in when I was in New York were almost always owned by Koreans, and then if you go to the bodegas in New York also, it's almost a Yemeni or something. There's so much that now puts them and gives them some leverage in the society. Yeah, I don't
Mm.
know if we have things like that. It's not the only time I see this kind of growth. It's when I go to the Southwest market I was telling you about, and I see Nigerians all around in the wing that is the restaurant, frying puff puff, frying fish, frying, doing meat pie, doing jollof rice and all that, taking care of the grocery parts, taking care of the butchery and all that. That's where you get a sense that you are in a place where you are home, and even in some restaurants also. But it really does help when people are finding a way and making success and growing in that success with other people, not just growing individually. We tend to come here, we pursue a career. These are individualistic things. We tend to be individual. Our lives are individual. But when you do an enterprise, just like I just said about the Indians, they own the concessions, and it's the Indians who are running the concessions. And then that now helps them create community. It helps them create
Mhm.
community, and it makes the American experience much more palatable for them. you know
I
and
agree.
you'll be shocked, sometimes they don't even go home for as much as 5, 6, 10 years. But if you let most Africans, if it wasn't that it was so far off and the etiquette is so just changing every day, they will hop onto a plane every weekend and and go back to Lagos
And go
to
back home, yeah. Yes,
go.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know with time, like we have been saying, that we will get other experts onto the show. We will
Mhm.
identify them with time. We hope that anybody who hears our story, who hears what we are saying, and who understands the concept of what we're trying to talk about, the African immigrant experience in America. If you want to be about with us, if you have comments, if you have ideas, if you have topics you want us to explore, please do so. Send us either, if you have my email or if you have Wariche's email, you can always do so. You can suggest to make this program much more engaging for our audience, and possibly also bigger, larger audience. We may be starting with the African immigrants, but who knows how far, because these topics affect every other immigrant community. We
Yes.
are just Africans now, but it affects every other African other immigrant
Of a
community.
immigrant
Mauricio, is
group.
there one
Yes.
other word you want to throw in?
Oh, I mean, I think to expand on what we're saying, travel is key. Wherever you find peace, I think that everybody should embrace it. I also think that moving your energy around is also key. And so if you find that you've lived, like someone like me has lived in America 20 years, right?
Mm.
Prior to living in America, I lived in Nigeria 28 years, right? If I want to move to Australia now for another 20 years, there's nothing wrong with it because again, it's that shifting energy. It's not what I'm doing, but just
Wait. You
yeah,
just did something now. Some people are doing maths in their head now. 20 years plus 28 years. They'll be doing the maths in their head and like,
yeah, because I'm 48. Yeah. So
did I
so what
hear
I'm
right?
saying is I know. So, but what I'm saying is that it's important to move your energy around. It's okay. If you find that maybe you feel stagnated in one place, it's very good to go home. Some people don't even try to visit often. They just go home and then they deal with the consequences of just going back home like that. Nigeria is great. Nigeria develops every day. And so for us, when we speak about Nigeria, that's home. So it's never going to be a bad idea if you were to move back home. But you also have to consider certain factors. Again, it all depends on your motivation, your reason for even being here, right? So you want to be careful to not just I wouldn't chase after the jobs or the accolades, right? As a reason for moving back because that's not enough to preserve you. You know what I mean? And so you want
Mm.
to make sure the reason you're moving back is a good one and it's safe to move back. It's multi-layered. When you have kids, you want to consider the children as well. So I think that we're going to see more of that type of migration, especially at a time when you have a person like Donald Trump and what he's been doing. And he's just caused this. It happened the other time he was president. The feeling is back again. It was almost like people had amnesia, they forgot, right? There's an unsettling feeling that people just have when Donald Trump is, president. I had it for 4 years, and even now it's crept back again, where it's like you don't know what. Every day is a new dramatic thing to the point that after he was president and Biden was president, it was so smooth. There was nothing being talked about because we had an adult we had an adult as president eventually, right? And so we talked about it. We're like, did you notice that there's no drama, nobody's paying attention to the news anymore because you're not scared to pay attention to the news. But that feeling has come back again, where Donald Trump is president. Every day is a new. He thinks he's acting like it's a game. Not realizing that he's affecting groups of people and their lifestyles and their sanity. And so I can see why people would choose to move home while Donald Trump is president. For at least they'll say, okay, let me explore for the next 3, 4 years. African Americans are moving to Africa. Let them explore for the next 3, 4 years. And it's a good reason. You just want a
Okay.
place where you're at peace, right?
Wait.
Where you're at peace, well, while everything else is going on. So, um, my thoughts are just simply that we will see more people moving back. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a Nigerian pidgin English saying for what you have just said now, or the advice you're giving. Well, I'm going to come. So they should go. So when things are settled, they should come back. I'm going to
That's true.
come. I'm going to
Yeah.
come. I'll go see you later. That those kind of.
Yeah.
So even for those ones who may have reasons of uncertainty as to the environment now, either the economic uncertainties, political uncertainty, but general uncertainty regarding this time we find ourselves in
Mhm.
now. If that's your reason for leaving, for wanting to embark on reverse immigration, please put it like this. Just remember that you can go to come. Keep an affiliation with America. Don't close it. Just keep that affiliation very,
Yeah.
very close because things change. Things continue
Things
to
change.
change.
Yeah.
It may be different next time. Okay,
Indeed.
at this point, we've come to the end of today's program. Thank you for being with us to this time. If you like, I will say, please subscribe, share, like, make a comment. Tell us what you feel about our program. Tell us how you think we can improve it. Thank you for being with us to this time. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Until next
Thank you.
time.
Okay. Bye.